further ado, I give you Sarah Weaver.
My name is Sarah Weaver. How are we all doing this morning? Good. Thank you for being here, and a really big thanks and an even bigger happy birthday to Creative Mornings. Yes. They've been gathering us all here together for 3 whole years now in St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you so much for having me out. Can we get just another big round of applause for them? Seriously, they're so awesome. Thank you. All right, first off, I see some familiar faces in the crowd. Thank you so much for coming out to Station House this morning. Can I ask, with a round of applause, who at least has been to or is familiar with Bandit Coffee Co.? That's really cool, thank you. In case we are just meeting, hi, my name's Sarah. I am a co-founder and co-owner of Bandit, which is a cafe and coffee roaster located right here in St. Pete, my hometown. You've seen that before, right? Now, let me ask with a raise of hands, who here was born in St. Pete? Like, it's on your birth certificate. That's pretty good showing. All right, now raise your hands if you consider anywhere in the Bay Area your hometown. Like, it's not necessarily a place you were born, but rather a place that you feel like has shaped you and defined you. Cool, awesome. It's funny, when certain folks ask me where I'm from and they hear St. Pete, the follow-up question is either, what hospital were you born in, or what high school did you go to? Now, last poll with a raise of hands. Who here knows the TV show Parks and Recreation? Oh yeah. Cool, well either way, it's great. Season 4, episode 3, Leslie Knope is running her city council campaign and promoting a book all about her beloved hometown of Pawnee, Indiana. During this run, Leslie learns that she wasn't actually born in Pawnee, but rather a neighboring and fiercely rival town called Eagleton. Full disclosure, I was born in St. Pete, right down the road at Bayfront Hospital. Folks who ask that question are usually pretty pleased with my answer. There's kinship there now, right? Especially in a city known for tourists and transplants. That person and I may hardly have anything in common, but we both just felt pretty good that we share this part of our lived experience. Well, we can't really remember it, but you know. As for high school, my family moved 30 miles north in my early teens, but I often brought friends back down to St. Pete for shows or just to show them around. This place has always felt really special to me. And isn't that what makes a hometown? Even if someone does ask what hospital you're born in, that hospital itself isn't all that important to you, right? Like Leslie Knope and her heartfelt passion for Pawnee is no way thwarted by what's actually on her birth certificate. Claiming your community is a beautiful thing. We have absolutely no say in where we're born, but no matter our present location, we do have the option to connect ourselves with those around us. Now, when I say community, it can be a city on a map or just a place you feel most yourself. If you've attended college, this is probably one of the first places you've felt a real sense of community. College is the only time I haven't lived in the Tampa Bay area. Sometime in middle school, I declared, I'm going to attend Flagler College. That's what I did. It's a small liberal arts school in St. Augustine, Florida. Once there, I switched majors a couple of times, but landed on art and design. After my 101 classes, I fell in love with the community surrounding the program, the palpable passion within the building, and the professors. My professors were the coolest, the weirdest, most wonderful people. For spring break one year, our art professors took us on a trip to New York City. They absolutely immersed us in the culture. They introduced us to their personal artist friends and the galleries of Chelsea and the lofts of Bushwick. My immediate response? Enamored. And I must get out of Florida. Ironically, our college graduation commencement speaker earnestly preached, stay in Florida. But I didn't want to. At least I didn't think so. The plan for the meantime, move back home, like so many millennials do. I kept working in restaurants, working miscellaneous jobs, working for my dad, plus my unpaid design internship. In time, I was hired as a designer for a local full-service advertising agency. This was my first desk job, and also my first time experiencing PTO, paid time off. I found myself taking long weekend trips whenever possible with my boyfriend, now husband, Joshua. Most often, we visited our college friends who did the big move to New York City. Psst, they're here now. They live here now, and they're here. While Josh and I were working at our respective ad agencies, we'd meet each other up for lunchtime coffee breaks at a nearby coffee shop. Coffee was also a shared hobby for us. In addition to seeking out coffee on our travels, we both love brewing new coffees in our free time. I wasn't stoked on the Folgers in the break room at work, so I was breaking out my AeroPress. And of course, the coworkers all want to know what the fuss was about. And soon, I was known as the girl with the good coffee. I thought to myself, dang, I love doing this kind of thing, sharing experiences and serving folks. It's a bummer I never got to be a barista. You know these memories that come up on your Facebook page? Well, a few weeks ago, I was reminded of an old post from my profile from January 4th, 2014. I wrote, I want to moonlight as a floral designing and candle making cheese taster that owns a coffee shop where people pay to hang out with bunnies. Dream big, y'all. Gosh, deep down, I really wanted to do something different. I wrote moonlight because I didn't want my employer to get scared. Well, I really wanted to do something community-facing, though, something that gathered people, and apparently rabbits, in a way that I didn't currently have in my life or my city. I wanted to be a part of something bigger, but also smaller, more connection. 6 months after making that post, in June of 2014, I came across a Humans of New York story that struck me so hard, and I reposted it. It pictured this man with the caption, quote, if you could give yourself one piece of advice at the age of 18, what would it be? And he wrote, quote, open up that coffee shop. Another 6 months later, New Year's Day, 2015, I went out to dinner with my then fiance, Josh. I spent the whole day reading Everything That Remains, a book by the Minimalists. It's by Joshua Fields Milburn and Ryan Nicodemus. Long story short, they departed from corporate life and challenged the norms of American consumerism. And through this, they were able to bring to light what really matters most in life. They started a blog, they wrote books, and their reflections in seeking out a meaningful life really resonated with me. It's a good New Year's Day read. I wanted to challenge myself in a similar way. Maybe it's time. Over plates full of sushi, I admitted to Josh that I wanted to make a plan to leave my full-time job in pursuit of freelancing. Not just that, but I really wanted to do this while working part-time as a barista. Josh and I had already been taking on select freelance jobs together to stretch our creative muscles and make some extra money. I knew it was a big shift to leave a full-time, full benefits job, but I wanted creative freedom. I was also incredibly excited to learn more about coffee. And I'm a classic extrovert. I desperately miss meeting people, and I wanted that excitable energy that buzzes around coffee shops. So, after that enlightening winter break, I go back to work the following Monday. I finished up some tedious projects I've been working on for the last few months. My account manager and I share high fives, pat ourselves on the back for ceremonious wrap-up to start the year. Shortly after, around 4 p.m., I'm called into the conference room. They told me to pack up my desk. I'm fired, canned, axed, the boot. They literally walked me down the stairs and showed me the door. Oh yeah, and your health insurance is good through the end of the month, they yelled down the stairwell. Juggling my armfuls of things I'd collected at my desk over the last 2 years, I pulled out my phone and called my mom and then Josh. And I told them both the same thing. I think this is the best thing to ever happen to me. The thing is, though, I really don't know if I would have been strong enough at that time to say goodbye on my own terms. Leaving a decent paycheck and pretty darn good health insurance, that's scary. We thankfully already had a freelance gig lined up that February to go shoot for our new friends, the Minimalists. Through the small world of social media, Josh was recommended to shoot new promo photos for them. So we both flew out to Missoula, Montana. It's a small, close-knit town nestled between snow-capped mountains. They showed us around their favorite coffee shops, restaurants. We met all their friends. In a small town like Missoula, it seems like everyone's friends. It was out here that I received the call that I got an interview for a barista job. I shared the news with our new friends. Both Josh and Ryan from the Minimalists admitted they too always wanted to be a barista. And yes, I got that job. But I was also working with Josh at that time to figure out what's next. Should we go do the New York things, get big jobs in the big city? Or should we do our own thing here in the Bay Area? Our own thing, we decided, could be some kind of combination of our shared interests. Coffee, design, perhaps a coffee bar / design studio, maybe a co-working space, print shop. I think Josh and I get along really well because we both like to dream big. We also know what it's like to reel each other back into planet Earth. If you're going to do anything with a partner, any kind of partner, I recommend working with someone who shares your passion but can also keep you grounded, present, and sensible. Even though Josh and I still lived in Tampa at the time, we shared a short-term goal to move back to my hometown of St. Pete and do the dang thing. One evening in downtown St. Pete, we were hanging out with a group of friends shooting photos, not unusual, but we found ourselves waiting around for golden hour. We spotted that garage-type building, you know, the one that lies between Greenbench and Bodega, the one with the wolf mural on it by Sebastian Coolidge, who is another Creative Mornings ex-speaker. It was probably Josh who was like, that'd be a great coffee shop. Well, we weren't hungry, nor were we ready for a beer yet, and a coffee shop is that perfect middle ground. It's a place for lingering, hanging out, enjoying yourself. We've been to such great cafes and coffee bars in other cities, sometimes one on every block. Why isn't there one of these around here? We eventually got a hold of the owner of that little garage building. Naturally, we scheduled the meeting at Bodega. We presented a business plan that Josh had meticulously put together. He's the numbers side of this team. We discussed the concepts we had seen in our travels and how that particular spot would be an excellent location for a coffee bar. It's a literal middle ground between two hubs. He wasn't interested in leasing the building out to us. Rather, he presented his idea of putting a pizzeria in there. I mean, pizza's great, but he encouraged us to do this instead. A coffee shop? He scoffed at the idea. I just don't see it working here. We pressed on, touring other storefronts further west along Central Avenue in the Edge District. Most were filled to the ceiling, if there even was a ceiling, with 20 plus years of collected items stashed for storage in this forgotten part of town. One day, Josh texted me a photo of a peach and orange building, huge building with a parking lot. Can we afford that? I asked, and he said something that's been our mantra now for the last 5+ years. We'll figure it out. Musty and dusty from years of abandonment, we walked through the old Porter Paints building at 2662 Central Avenue, the location that we all know today as Bandit Coffee Co. Does it look familiar? I will not bore you with the lost months of permitting purgatory. If you know anything about building out a brick and mortar business, here or otherwise, you know that permitting is a time no small business owner is ever prepared for. We found the saying to be true. It's always twice as expensive and takes twice as long. We tried to make do with the wait and introduce ourselves to the community whenever possible. We made our first appearance as Bandit at Pride 2015. We popped up on the sidewalk and served hot and cold coffee with huge thanks to our new coffee friends who already had their own mobile coffee pop-up carts. We told everyone we'd be opening late summer. Late summer turned to fall. Fall turned to winter. But by mid-January 2016, our starry-eyed hopefulness nearly ran out, along with our loan money. Drained in every way on one chilly winter night, Josh and I sat on the seawall, sharing wine from the bottle, watching planes land at Tampa International Airport. We made plans from A to Z about what else we could do with our lives. We'll figure it out. As an opening event, we had planned for our pals, the Minimalists, to screen their new documentary. You might be familiar with it. It is streaming on Netflix. When they came to visit our space 2 weeks before the screening, they took a look around and were like, "Are y'all gonna be ready?" There was still dirt, unfinished floors and walls. It was still a ways away from it looking anything like a coffee shop. As friends, we lamented about reaching the very end of our finances. They jumped in, they listened. At the 11th hour, they made the decision to join us as business partners. They offered much needed funds to help us complete the shop. Finally, on February 1st, 2016, we officially opened for business. Yes, that's 4 years next Saturday. We're having a party, so please come join us. The rest is history. The rest is the hardest thing I've ever done. It honestly feels like an absolute blur, but with a lot of lessons and personal growth along the way. This is literally what the shop looked like when we first opened. I think we finished that table, Josh, like 30 minutes before we opened the door? Yeah. What do you do when you've never done something before? Figure it out. And you know what really helps you figure it out? People. People sharing knowledge. People sharing support. People showing up. People who share your vision, feel what you're feeling, and want to be a part of it with you. Our local community showed up. Countless coffee folks shared their knowledge. Some even hopped on board for our team. Our families, friends, they jumped in to help any way they could. The customers we met at Indie Flea pop-ups while we were in the midst of build-out, our shop was filled with their faces on opening day, and now 4 years later, they're some of our best friends. For figuring all else out, there's always the internet. Gosh, from Google to Reddit, social media, and don't forget good old books. But social media is especially great. People can quickly and easily connect with you from outside your geographic area. You can connect with folks super similar to you or completely different from you. I don't know about you, but thanks to the internet, I have as much of a circle of friends who I've never actually met as I do folks who I thankfully see on a daily basis. We all have our local communities and roots within them, but we can also create meaningful relationships within our own little digital community. How cool is that? Back at the shop, though, I have met the most amazing people that I never would have crossed paths with in any other part of my life. One of our regulars, he's widely known as one of the best cellists in the world. He's been on over 1,500 TV and movie soundtracks. All your favorite movies: Jurassic Park, Toy Story, Titanic, Sleepless in Seattle, E.T., Pirates of the Caribbean. The list goes on. Oh yeah, and he also writes astronomy books. Another regular is a marine science professor who's researching the depths of the ice sheets and climate change. She even brought our coffee to Antarctica. Bandit Coffee's been to the South Pole. Well, pretty darn close to it. If you've been in our shop anytime between 9 and 11 a.m. on any given day, you felt the buzz and seen the familiar faces. We have regulars who've always lived in the neighborhood and who are immigrants from across the world. In our space, with all of them together, it's our own little community. The coolest thing to me is when our regulars become friends. There's sometimes people with very different lives, but their common denominator is their presence in this space. And I love that so much. I love being a part of my sweet hometown in this way. Being a steward of not only great coffee, but great experiences. It makes all of the long hours and all of the figuring it out worth it. And if it wasn't for the team surrounding us, honestly, we would have burned out a long time ago. If you know our shop, you know our team. They have the most amazing energy. They care about our shared community, and it's a joy for us all to share the shop together. We're all chasing that feeling of connection, how great it feels to be understood, welcomed, and part of something, anything. So, even if you're not living in your hometown, or even all that currently invested in your geographic area, how can we find purpose and connection within our own communities? As I mentioned, the internet's pretty cool. But so is the act of real social gatherings to share ideas. Hey, just like this, Creative Mornings. I believe the simple act of supporting a small business is a mutual sense of goodness. It's a win-win. Your hard-earned dollars stay close right here in your neighborhood. If you have time to offer, volunteering for an organization that you're curious or excited about is a great way to meet folks and make some waves. Late last year, I joined the Grand Central District as a board member. This is the business district that Bandit lies in. I wanted to get involved in my local community in a more impactful way outside of my immediate comfort zone. I wanted a challenge and to learn more about these supportive structures that exist in our own city right here. To be honest, when the shop first opened, I felt kind of intimidated by these groups ruled by bureaucratic hoops, procedural rules, and just a group of people who have completely different lives from myself. The Grand Central District, I thankfully learned, is something else completely. It's not yacht clubs and auctions and galas kind of deal. It's just real business owners in the oldest, the most diverse, and proudly the weirdest business district in downtown St. Petersburg. We often meet at the VFW, the oldest post south of the Mason-Dixon line. It smells like beer, wood paneling, has a bingo board on the wall. It's perfect. Even if there are spaces you're intimidated by, gosh, just go in there and be a part of it. Go in there and figure it out. It's an amazing way to make change in the world around you. For example, 2 years ago, a group of business owners and locals went down to City Hall to speak out against a drive-through Dunkin' Donuts slated to go on the corner of MLK and First Avenue North. Those are two one-way roads, myself included. There I am. I look mad. Our initial pushback was the presence of a chain when the culture of our city is well known as a steadfast supporter of all things local. But we quickly learned we had to change gears. We needed to cite a specific complaint to make our opinions heard for the record. We whispered amongst ourselves and came to a collective agreement that traffic was the topic. In the end, City Council rejected the drive-through, and thus the Dunkin' plan fell through. So I ask you to ask yourselves, what do you want to change about the world around you? At first, I just really wanted a coffee shop in my hometown, but it grew into so much more. In my continued personal mission to gather people and share experiences, I'm actually working to launch my next project. Do y'all want to hear about it? Yeah. Okay. I'm calling it Stone Fruit Social Club. And Stone Fruit was created from an idea that I've seen in many larger metropolitan areas, frequent events that gather folks in the hospitality industry or the coffee industry, but for some reason, not both together. I've been waiting around for something like this, but I found so many other people also want more dialogue within these shared food and beverage communities. I want to bring people together to share knowledge, stories, ideas, to challenge each other, and just hang out and have a good time. Folks in hospitality spend a lot of time with people, but oftentimes it's not with people within our own industry. and we can learn plenty from one another. So I'm going to launch Stone Fruit Social Club as a local and digital community celebrating the people of food and beverage. It's going to take a lot more figuring it out, but I'm so thankful for the folks that have already stepped up to offer their part in this. And quick side note, if you do want to be a part of this as well, or if you're just interested in learning more, please feel free to follow along because it is going to be a lot of fun. Instagram, Facebook, sign up for email, it's all there. My page goes together. Whether it's through civic involvement, volunteering, supporting a local business, or even starting your own. It's thanks to these seemingly small connections that we have that can also be a part of something greater. Inspiration has a ripple effect. And from these ripples, we can form more connections. And from these connections, we can grow our roots, strengthen ourselves, strengthen our community in our own unique ways. Together, we'll figure it out. Thank you.
All right, we ready? See what the most voted question was.
Ooh.
I'm not going to put it up because people be asking silly questions. Oh, okay. How do you see the future of the neighborhood around Bandit growing? Are you concerned about all the big development happening close by or happy about it?
I am thankful from the knowledge that I've learned from getting involved with the Grand Central District that I do know that particularly this neighborhood district has a lot of people looking out for preserving a lot of good, a lot of that wonderful, weird local vibe that we all love about St. Pete, as well as honestly, I think our neighborhood inherently is going to have a lack of that, condo development kind of vibe as best as possible because we can only build up to 4 stories when it's west of the interstate there. So you won't be seeing these giant skyscraper-y, 16, 20-story buildings over in our part of town, but rather I do anticipate just from, hearing what people's plans are as well as knowing what, the neighborhood wants and is advocating for is more places to live, work, play. We have some wonderful new businesses that are moving into the neighborhood. Andrew from Brown House just told me that they're moving over to the Grand Central District on 1st and 20th. So I do know that there's a lot of people who want to preserve what we love about our city, and even though we are going to see some investors who are going to try to nibble up what they can, the Grand Central District in particular, I see a continuing trend of more restaurants and retail spaces, businesses, and a lot of places that we can all enjoy together.
If you were a side dish, like food, what would you be, and how does it encapsulate who you are as a person? I love this.
A side dish, not a main dish. I'm a side dish.
She's put you in a side dish position.
Oh boy. I really enjoy mac and cheese as a side dish, so I'm going to project my thoughts and feelings onto mac and cheese. It has the best of all worlds. You have, that nice, strong noodle to bring you the wonderful cheese. I'm your noodle bringing you all the cheese.
Somebody please write that down. Sarah Weaver, I'm the noodle bringing you all that cheese. How do you incorporate design into Bandit and the Bandit community?
I love what we're able to do as Bandit because we get to collaborate with so many different amazing people. So apart from my own want of creative opportunities, like for instance, my friend Anna here, she actually came into the shop on day 1, and I first met her because I saw her tagged photo on Instagram. Again, back to the social media thing, it's really cool. So she's done some amazing work for our shop that I know you've seen as far as merch. Also, David Gonzalez, where are you? I know you're here. Oh, he's back there. Okay, cool. He did what we all know right now as the Bandit swirly bee logo, as well as the St. Petersburg mural design too. It's been amazing to work with him, as well as so many other designers, illustrators, creative folks. So I love the opportunity that the shop allows us to really bring forward all of these amazing people in some different, exciting, unexpected ways. And it's just the beginning. We want to continue to do that more as well.
How do you support other local and independent businesses?
This is one of my favorite things about having the shop, having Bandit, is that we regularly get to also support, be a platform, work with, collaborate, just be there with other local businesses. The vast majority of what you see in our shop for sale is often from other local independent businesses, a ton of women-owned businesses. I would start to shout out, but there's just truly so many. If you know our shop, you know that we love working with others, having pop-ups, events, and such. So it's something I think that's inherently a part of the culture of our business that we've built. And it's something that I look forward to continuing to grow because we all get to support each other. We all get to connect with our community in this really exciting and beautiful way.
How do you balance work life and personal life?
Oh,
That question.
I know. Well, as I said, my business partner is my husband, Joshua. Hi. It is difficult. It's something that for the first 2 years, it was honestly like we saw what each other went through every single hour of the day for the whole week straight. So, I mean, at first there's this really blurred line, but then we've learned to, create our own spaces for ourselves, to define our own sense of self, as well as leave work at work and have home be home. It's a really important boundary. Leslie and Ben from Parks and Rec established this as well. You need to be able to create boundaries and healthy separation in order to have proper communication, as well as just get yourself into that good old self-care mode and take care of yourself, your relationships, and your business.
What are your thoughts on gentrification in St. Pete? How do we as a community welcome more diversity and equitable prosperity?
Awesome. I feel like this is a tricky question because I personally don't know the best way to define gentrification, but I understand that the displacement of residents, and especially people of color, is something that is very important, and it's something that is an issue I want to talk about, but it's something I don't feel like I'm a great, person to be able to speak upon because I don't have experiences with that. So I just would rather want to open up dialogue potentially to what you all feel about that and how us as a business and as community leaders can be a better advocate for people who do need to be advocated for, as well as, just to ensure that the integrity of our neighborhood, the diversity, and that weirdness, like I was saying, is upheld.
Does anybody want to speak to that question since she turned it to the audience? We're going to think about it.
Okay. But thank you. I appreciate that question. It is something. Cool.
That's a great suggestion. So if you didn't hear her, join the Foundation for Healthy St. Petersburg and the Center for Health Equity at all of their trainings and events. Okay, hold on. Y'all are upvoting crazy. It's changing. Thank you for bringing good coffee to St. Pete. What else do you think St. Pete is missing?
Well, we felt breakfast, so we've been working on that. If you guys haven't noticed, we have food now. So we have that Wednesday through Sunday. Also, our wine program is something that's new that we were really excited about, natural wines and working with these distributors that work with independent wineries. And it was kind of an extension of where we're already at with coffee that we wanted to bring to another beverage that we were really excited about that also is something that's common in, the cafe vibe. You get to hang and linger, have your coffee, have some food, have some wine. I think honestly just the continued growth that we're trying to do as well is just to keep being a great place for the community to gather in the best way that we can offer it. And we're really just getting started. I think there's a lot of things that we want to bring to the table, but I don't think there's necessarily anything that the city's missing other than the fact that just more people coming together is always a wonderful thing.
Okay, so there are some amazing questions here, but they're coming in late. So I'm going to close it out. But if you have these great questions like, what's Mason up to these days? You can check him out at @MeMason.
Hello at me, Mason.
Hello at me, Mason. Multiple opportunities to engage with Sarah, her personal account, her Bandit account, her other Bandit account, and her dog account. And I love that variety. So Sarah, you can see these questions later if you wanted to
Cool.
answer them on social media and tag us.
Thanks.
Or you people who ask these excellent questions that we're not going to ask out loud, you can rush her after we're done and ask them to her face. So that's it. This was Creative Mornings. I'm so glad you were here. I love all of you. I hope you have a great Friday. Thank you.